early childhood playground. It's going to be installed in the next few weeks. The school board just okayed that purchase last night at our meeting. And what's great about this is you won't be able to see children through the fence. It's always given me great pause that you can see our children on the playground when you pull up to the Bodecker parking lot. Also, it is going to have a camera on it, so the gate just won't be unlocked. That is not okay. So it will have a camera on the fence so that the teachers out on the playground can buzz in that parent to allow them to come in to get their child. So we're very excited about that. It will start right here at the end of the building, and it'll go all the way down along the same line that our original chain link fencing is. So we are very excited about the security updates to our Redeemer. Also, I want to talk to you about snow days. It seemed a little odd a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week. It's all running together when you have bad weather. Why we canceled school? We follow the Richardson ISD and the Dallas ISD decision making. They have a special team that go out and check the roads and drive the buses and drive the parking lots and all of those facility management people to help make the decision. Richardson ISD, DISD, Highland Park ISD, and everyone canceled school this last time, not because of the roads, but because they were concerned about rolling blackouts. We hadn't had a situation where the electricity had to keep up to the usage since that big few days we had a few years ago in February, so they canceled on the air of caution. We will always communicate with everyone as soon as possible when we cancel school, and we will do that through text and email. But if you are watching the news and DISD and RISD has canceled, the next step is I call the school board and we make a decision together. But that's why our message may be a little bit delayed. Another thing I want to point out to parents, and some parents don't realize this, but our teachers do not live close to school. Preston Hollow, Highland Park, University Park, it's very expensive to live on a teacher's salary. I'm just putting it out there. Our teachers drive from Corsicana, Grapevine, Arlington, Prosper, Frisco, Rowlett, Roy City, Garland, Mesquite, Plano, Richardson. So that is why a lot of times if these two districts cancel, we know the roads are going to be rough for our teachers, and we love our teachers. It's not worth risking your life to come to school on a day that is icy. So I want to thank all of you, those of you online that are listening and in person, for being supportive of those snow days. The next question is, do we have to make them up? We don't know that until the end of the year. So we are unsure whether or not we have to make them up. We follow what the public schools do. So if the public schools make up the school days, then it's highly likely that we will make up the school days as well. Okay, now I want to talk to you about the Grilke family, and I sure do hope I'm saying it right. Does anybody know them personally? Okay, good. Then I can call them right. The Grilke family. This is a wonderful family. They are currently in Botswana, Africa, and they are truly ministering to those that are living there. So they are Lutheran Bible translators, and they're making God's word accessible to those who don't speak the English language. And they do not receive any type of pay. They only are funded through gifts of charity, through gifts of ministry. And so this is Pastor Grilke and his wife and their children, and they are currently there right now. So we are raising money to support them. Our church also supports them through our ministry, but we are engaging in coin wars. So I'm going to tell you about coin wars so that if your kids are digging into their penny bank or looking for quarters in the couch, you know why. So this is a special community service project we're doing this week during National Lutheran Schools Week. So here are the rules, all right? This is also in the roar, but it's really for the math-minded folks. So here we go. If a student brings in a dollar bill, they always want to place it in another class's bucket because bills, paper money, subtracts from the amount. Coins are positive. So let's pretend Miss Hutchinson's room has a ton of coins, and then someone from 3rd grade comes and puts in a $5 bill. it's paper money. It subtracts $5 from Miss Hutchinson's stash. This is going to get very serious because ice cream is involved. So first place gets an ice cream treat, and we now have our very own spirit stick here at Our Redeemer. And this is very special because sixth graders get to sign it when they graduate. So the first place class will be awarded with the spirit stick and get ice cream. And second and third place, that's awesome too. They will also get ice cream. So you might want to monitor those piggy banks, but this is what we're raising money for, and it's a really good cause, and we're so grateful to this family. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over. Oh, I never introduced myself. I'm Suzanne Davis, the head of school. Thanks for joining us this morning. Now we're going to turn it over to our awesome director of education, Jessica Bangert, and she's going to talk about academic and personal growth here at Our Redeemer and how we're supporting our students.
Good morning. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's something that I think is done really well here at Our Redeemer. So I'm excited to share with you all the things that we're doing here and all the ways that we look forward to partnering with you. What you see on the screen right now are what we call our academic and personal growth assessment skills. So these are physically on the elementary report card. If you are a preschool parent, you might not see these on your report card because they look a little different. But on the elementary side, these are some things that we look to help our students learn so that they can be at their best academically. They're purposely placed, if you've ever noticed, at the top of the report card. And the reason they're placed there first is because we find that if they're doing all of these skills, if they're meeting all of these expectations or exceeding them, then the rest kind of falls in place. And if you take a look at these skills in detail, you'll understand exactly what I mean by that. I won't read them all to you because you can see them up here. But for example, if students are using their time wisely and turning assignments in on time, they're going to do better academically. If they are working without disrupting other people or being in class clown, they're going to be doing well academically. So if you can take a look through those things, you'll notice that that's what we think really makes a great student. And there are lots of ways that we can teach that, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. On this side, you're going to see personal growth. And these are the kind of items that we think make a great sixth grade graduate, but then past that also make a great high school student, a great college student, and someone you want to work with or work for as an adult. We know that colleges or people that are hiring them might not look at their fourth grade report card for their math score, but if they are being kind to others or respecting the authority, people are going to notice that, and it's going to be the kind of workers that we want to develop. So these are the skills that we've kind of identified as being most important. Here to the next slide. So we've kind of targeted 5 core areas that we feel that students who thrive can in an age-appropriate way do these 5 things. So the first thing you're going to see there is follow directions from a teacher or parent. We'll get to that. Practice kindness to their classmates, which includes respect, integrity, all of that. Respect boundaries set by staff, teachers, and classmates. Bounce back from small emotional hiccups independently. And last but not least, accept routine critique or feedback as part of their learning. So we felt like these are 5 areas that if we can help those kids really be beneficial in that, you're going to see them pour over into those academic and personal skills. But we also targeted some ways that we feel parents can partner with us on this at home. If we want to go to the next slide, to go here too. Thank you. So these are those 5 areas. You can see them here. And then some ways that we work on them at school and some things you could do at home as well. So first, follow directions, first time, from a teacher or parent, which I've got a 4th grader and a 6th grader, and this is a skill in progress forever. But some things we can do to work on that, even at a younger level. Go ahead and give those 2 or 3 step directions, which might be only 2 steps for your child. Please go upstairs and brush your teeth. And that might be their 2 steps. I would say to my kids sometimes, I've asked you politely once, I need you to do it now, please. And if I say that in a firm way, they know, okay, it's time to go. Another, get dressed on their own, which sometimes it's faster just to do it ourselves. It's faster just to tie their shoes for them or help them tuck in their shirt. But when they're doing those things, they're taking ownership in what they do, and it's really helping them set up for success. Chores are a great thing for them. to be doing at home. And there's lots of age appropriate things that they can do, even if it's just putting away all of the spoons, helping get all of the plates from the table into the dishwasher, whatever little ways they can team up with the family helps make a successful household and also creates a bond with your kids. When you work alongside someone, you naturally talk, maybe listen to music and sing or dance, whatever that looks like for your family, but you're creating bonds as much as possible. I know how hard it is in busy homes when there's reading logs to finish and homework to finish, but even if it's just little things along the way, it really makes a big difference. The second one, practice kindness. On the slide, it talked about to your classmates, but kindness even to parents, kindness to teachers is also something they're learning quickly at a young age. So practicing a tone with kids. A lot of times what they say isn't a problem. It's maybe how they say that it's a problem, or they're throwing themselves on the floor as they say it. That's the problem. It's happened in my house too. Last night. So a lot of times we try in our house. Now my kids are older, so it's a little bit different, but I'll say, can you try that again? And if I say, can you try that again? They know my tone wasn't okay. So they might need to really tell me something, but I respond better as a parent when they approach me in a better tone. But you also know with your colleagues and with your friends, when you approach them with a nice tone, you get a different kind of feedback. So tone is something we're really working on here at our Redeemer this month, in fact, because our Wildcat Will is communication. So we're talking about communicating in an appropriate way, advocating for your needs, but then also saying it in a way that's kind and polite and helpful to other people. That goes along with how to respond, both verbally and non-verbally. I have a child, I won't tell you which one, maybe you can guess, but likes to stomp sometimes when she's upset. And so I'll need to tell her, that's a tone, try again, come back and walk respectfully. And that's something I see teachers doing all over the place in the hallway.
Not stomping though.
No, not stomping, that was, but they might say to a student, can you try it again? Walk politely from the door to the restroom or whatever that looks like. Not that they have to be perfect every time, because they're not gonna be, but it's important to set those expectations so that they know what they can meet. This last one here, practicing kindness, practice how to lose and how to celebrate when they win. So play games at home. Let them lose, let them win. Give them a chance to practice what it looks like to celebrate winning while being kind to other people. And then also when they lose, maybe sometimes learning how to brush it off or move on to the next one. Practice what small problems and big problems are. Losing at Uno is a small problem on the whole grand scheme of things, and that's so easy for us to see. But sometimes for kids, those losses are the center of their world. Even mistakes like forgetting to do their homework, it's going to happen. There might be a night where they left it at school. Even practicing, that feels like a loss to kids, and it feels really hard. But even reminding them, it's okay to make a mistake. You messed up, it's okay, talk to your teacher. And that's one of the things I've always loved here, is feeling like my kids can talk to their teachers and say, I made a mistake, I forgot. And there might be a consequence. Consequences aren't bad. It just helps me learn I need to do better next time. Respecting boundaries. This is really hard as a parent because you have heard your name probably 80,000 times already this morning, but it's something that's really important as they grow up to learn to respect boundaries of others. So one thing to put in place is to not interrupt mom and dad when they're on the phone talking to an adult, or even in person talking to an adult, unless it's an emergency, obviously. But consider setting up some kind of a signal with them to where they know that you are seeing that they're there, but just maybe can't talk at the moment. So having them stand right next to you, like patiently set their hand on your hand so that you know that they're waiting to communicate with you, but then they're not interrupting. That's also kind of delaying their gratification a little bit, which is okay. It helps them learn when to interrupt and when to not interrupt. And then if they do interrupt, it's okay to say, is this an emergency? Okay, I need you to wait just a minute. So I'm talking right now to Mrs. Davis, or whatever that happens to be. Taking turns when playing games is another way to respect boundaries, and following the rules of those games. A lot of times kids want to kind of skirt around the rules because they don't like this rule or they don't like that rule, but it's a great way to learn even the boundary of the game, the expectation, but also practicing bouncing things back and forth so they're not always the center of it. You'll notice playing games is a great way to learn for kids. Bouncing back from small emotional hiccups independently, we talked about this just a little bit, talking to kids about, is this a big problem or is this a little problem? Let's talk about what a big problem might look like for our family. Let's talk about what a little problem might look like for our family. How do we respond when it's a big problem? How do we respond when it's a little problem? Something that's important in both of these areas for big and little problems is that they always feel accessible. I know sometimes if there's a little problem where my kids are upset about it, I'm letting them know this is a little problem, and I find that I'm lecturing them on how little it is. They are young. They don't understand the big problems in the world. And if we can take a breath and step back and acknowledge that it's a problem, even if it's little, but talking them through it, helping them understand, it makes them feel like they can come to you. Because if it's a big deal to them at 5 and 6, they're going to come to you with those problems when they're 10 and 11 because they know you're listening. So not brushing off, still listening, still understanding, letting them cry, sit in your lap or hug them, whatever that looks like, holding their hand, to acknowledge those problems. But maybe once it's settled and all said and done, talking through what that perspective looks like at a certain age. Accepting routine critique or feedback is part of learning. It's okay to tell your kids things that they can do better, to tell them, hey, let's bounce ideas around, let's brainstorm. What do we think we could have done differently next time? If you're running late, sometimes that next, when they get home, to say, hey, this morning was a rough morning. What do we think we can do better? But also letting them sometimes say some things to us too. Sometimes our kids give the best feedback because it's so honest. So my kids might say to me, I felt rushed because I felt like you were shouting at me to hurry. And so then I try to check my tone, maybe I need to say it a little bit more calmly, even though I don't feel calm in the moment. But that feedback helps me talk to them and it helps us be a team together. Reacting with an attitude, trying to get their attitude to reflect a positive manner so that they're giving that good posture, that they're responding in an appropriate way. And then, the main thing that we're trying to do is to grow them into being a successful adult, because we want them to leave our Redeemer, but then leave our homes being able to contribute and being a great adult. We can do so much here with them in terms of learning math and learning reading, and that's also important. But these are the kinds of things that are going to make them successful as they get older. And if we can partner at home and at school at the same time, it really helps the child in a whole manner. So then other ways that we can practice this academic behaviors. So a lot of times when parents will talk about things they might do at home academically with their students, they might say, well, we do homework, or we do worksheets, or we do, read or whatever. So we've come up with a couple of ideas here that maybe you didn't think about. Also, if you Google this, there's far more than what's on this list. But some things that you can do with your kids that are helping them learn, and they don't even know that they're learning. Playing cards with kids, for example, just playing that traditional game of war, which number is higher, and then letting them practice their number sense. But then also you can do that with your math facts. So if you have them lay out 2 cards and you lay out 2 cards, depending on their math level, they could add them together, and the higher addition fact gets it, or multiply together. Great way to learn those math facts. I've brushed up on my math facts quite a bit as a parent. Now I have a 4th grader going through it, so I've gotten a lot better. Playing any kind of dice game with your kids, whether it be Yahtzee, or there's all kinds of, there's one we play a lot called Pig. I can share those rules with you, but if you have a dice that you can keep in your pocket or your purse, you can play it anywhere, waiting at the table for your food to come or whatever that looks like, and help them kind of tally and how to practice their addition and that sort of thing. Plus it gets them off the device and interacting with you, which is kind of fun. Taking them to the grocery store, while it's not always fun and it's definitely faster to do it by yourself, giving them the number sense of how much things cost. Practicing estimating, if it's $2.99, what's that close to? And then they can kind of keep a list of what's going on so that you can see if you overpay, or maybe if they forgot to charge you for something, and just kind of gives us a good awareness of what's going on in the world with how much things cost. This is hard because we don't always have cash in our pockets, but when we pay with cash, they see us doing that. And they see us maybe counting by 5s, or maybe, we're saying, okay, I handed them a 20 and it costs $14. Let's think about how much we're going to get in return. Playing board games. Monopoly, the game of life, those all require a banker. So letting the kids be the banker and count out the money, those all help with their math skills. Then for their language skills, it's kind of important to read, so I put that on there. Anytime you can have your child read with you, you could do a family novel together. There's lots of books where maybe they read a chapter, or you read a chapter, or you read a chapter to them. Audiobooks are even great to listen to when you clean a room. If everybody goes into the living room, somebody does blinds, somebody does the baseboards, and listen to that audiobook as you're kind of getting the room cleaned up and ready to go. They might not realize they're even working. Writing stories together is always fun to just, everybody writes a sentence and then you read it at the end and kind of see what happens. These are also some great memory makers if you have them journal on vacations. You do something, have them write down what they did that night, and then come back and read it later. Years later, it's my husband did this when he was a kid, so reading his journals from when he was 5 and 6 is pretty hysterical. Math Lists is always a fun activity. So that's the traditional one where you ask somebody to fill in, give me 3 nouns, and you write down 3 nouns, 3 verbs, you write down 3 verbs, and then you fill in the blank. So this is actually something you buy, a little notepad, and then it makes a funny story. So the other thing you can do with this is have them write a story and then erase words on purpose and ask the other child in your family, or maybe mom or dad, to fill in words, and it takes their story and then makes it a silly story, which is kind of fun. I used to do this with my 5th graders all the time when I taught 5th grade, and we would do it per season. So we would write, okay, everybody's writing Valentine's stories now, and then everybody's writing St. Patrick's Day stories. We got all kinds of funny things going on. Playing board games, again, another thing you can do, but let them check the directions. Even if you know the rules, say, I'm not sure who's supposed to start. Could you read and check it out? And then that practices skimming through material. From being in college, how important it is to be able to read headings to find where to go to. So this is a fun way for them to practice those skills, even at a 2nd or 3rd grade level. Cooking and baking together has its math benefits, but also its language benefits, having them practicing reading their recipes. Things like they might say 1/4 cup, and then practicing saying with them, well, that's 1/4. Here's what that looks like, or here's what that is. And then they're seeing the mathematical side, but then also how to pronounce it with the language. Pretend play is hard to do as a parent, but it's something that's really great for kids. Something Bluey is really good at, if you ever watched that show. But playing with your kids, letting them interact with you, letting the dolls or Barbies maybe have problems where they need to solve them, just helps the kids practice their language skills, but then you can kind of pose some things up against them as well. Stuffed animals are also another great toy where they can do this. You still have your Beanie Babies from when you're a kid, have them set up a zoo, maybe where you can walk through and visit the zoo, and they can interact with people kind of coming through. So those are kind of some ideas to get you started. We have tons of ideas because these are all the fun things on the education side. You have to hit your lessons every day, but these are the fun things that we love to do with kids to kind of wrap up lessons and make learning fun for kids. And they're also great things to do at home as well. So Google's your best friend if you ever need more ideas.
I don't know about you all, but I want to be a kid at Mrs. Bangert's house.
Well, they wouldn't always say that.
Great idea. Thank you for sharing. I always learn something new. Every time we brainstorm, I learn something new. So now for the exciting part. If you have not received a calendar, could you hand those? You have a calendar in front of you. Those of you online, there's a QR code that you can look this up. What this is our core school year calendar for the 24-25 school year. I know it's very exciting to receive. Some of the things I want to talk to you about is on August 9th, we will still hold our Tell the Teacher More Day, where you are able to come in and visit with your child's teacher, as well as have your child see the classroom. And then the first day of school is on the 13th. What you will notice here is we have removed the Sunday orientation day. Feedback from parents have shared that it's really hard to commit to an entire Sunday, especially when they're trying to squeeze in one more trip before the school year starts. And also, our orientation doesn't change that much from year to year for our returning parents. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have parent orientation after school on the 22nd. That way your teacher already has a relationship with their students, as well as you'll hear from our Wildcat parent leaders and our auction chairs and from me on that evening. So it's connected to a day that everyone is already in town. Times for that will be coming later. This is a general outline of our activities for the school year. And then in May, you'll receive a date-specific calendar. So you can get all of those fun things on your calendar, like, you know, storybook parade day and Valentine's Day and all the future dates from town hall, because I know you won't want to miss those. The other thing I wanted to point out is every year our elementary teachers are able to go to a conference, and it is held with all other Lutheran elementary teachers and directors and principals. Our early childhood department does that as well. So I put these dates in red right here in October. There's classes for preschool, but no elementary classes, but we always still offer holiday care. The one thing I really want you to make note about is in February. It shows two different dates, the 20th and the 21st, and the 27th and 28th. That is because the Texas district for our Lutheran schools have not selected which dates preschool is going to have their conference. So right here, there's a little note that says it won't be both days, both times, but we will let you know as it progresses. But the good news is we always offer holiday care. So that is wonderful news. If you'll flip it over to the back side. This calendar, and the QR code is on here for those of you at home. This calendar shows the days in blue is everybody's here. The days in red, there's no childcare available. So you'll definitely want to make notes of that. But then if you'll notice here, like the green says early childhood is in class, but we have elementary care. So like October 15th, you'll notice that elementary children will not be in their classroom because the teachers are at a conference, but we'll still have care for them. Then during the summer, you'll notice we gave back an extra day to provide care to help out our parents. Usually we've had 3 days in May where teachers are packing up their rooms and wrapping up. This year, we're only having 1 because we know that that is attached to Memorial Day weekend. So we thought our parents would appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions about our calendars? If you need it explained further, please call the front office. We don't mind explaining. And for those of you at home, there's going to be a link on this week's Roar to click on so that you too can have the calendar, as well as paper copies are coming home in everybody's Friday folder, so you can hang them on your refrigerator. Also, if you notice on these calendars, I have put the date that it's updated so that you don't get confused whenever the main calendar is going to come out in May. Is this the new one? Is this the old one? We've tried to stay really organized. Okay, so the next part is, if you haven't grabbed a bagel, hot chocolate with whipped cream or coffee, now's your chance. But at 9 o'clock, we're going to the gym. Our pre-K 4s, Kinder Bridge, all the way up through 6th grade. We're going to have a National Lutheran Schools pep rally. We'd like to invite you to join. But if you have a job you have to go to, we totally understand. So thanks for being with us this morning.
Susie, quick question about security. Is there any thought to, I realize drop off is one thing, but like anytime there's a parent in the building, whether they're.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a nice day.
Either having them have something on them that identifies them as a visitor